Hi everybody! In this video, we're going to be going through the notes for lesson 2.2, which is all about finding slopes when we look at a graph. Now, there are lots of ways to find the slope, but what we're going to focus on today is when we have a graph, what do? The slope is just the pattern of a linear function. So in other words, it has to be a line in order to have a slope. We use the letter M for slope. The first thing I want to teach you is that there are actually 4 types of slope. When your graph is going uphill from left to right, we call that a positive slope. We also say that the line is increasing. When your graph is going downhill from left to right, we call that a negative slope, and we say that the line is decreasing. When your graph is flat, it is perfectly flat, we call that a slope of 0. There's basically 0 steepness to the line, and we call it a constant line. It stays the same all the time. And when your when your line is going straight up and down, we say that your slope is undefined. It doesn't exist, and the line is vertical. Now, in order to find the slope from a graph, there are a few steps that we need to follow. The first step is that we need to find 2 nice points on the line. Now, on this graph, I actually put dots on the line for you, but on some graphs where there are no dots, like points on the line, you're going to want to look for where the line cuts through the corners of the boxes. Then, the second rule is we always start from the left side of the graph. So when we look at a line, we always read it from left to right. The last rule is we make a slope fraction. So all of your answers today are going to be fractions. The slope fraction, and the way that everybody does it, is like this. You're going to put your rise over your run. Now, the rise means, did you need to go up or did you need to go down? The run is how far you need to go to the right. So here's what that's going to look like. On this graph, I'm going to start from the left. So I'm going to start from this point. It's kind of hard to read. Now, I'm going to walk to the other point on the graph, but I need to follow the lines on the graph. I can't move diagonally. So in order to get there, I'm going to need to rise, which means go up 3 spaces, and then I'm going to need to run to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. In order to make my slope fraction, I'm going to put the rise number over the run number. So in this case, the rise number is 3 and the run number is 6. Now, after we're done writing our slope fraction, there is actually one last thing that we need to do. We need to reduce this fraction. And the way we're going to do that is just type the fraction into our calculator and then hit enter, and the calculator will simplify it for us. If the calculator just gives you the same fraction that you started with, it means that it wasn't possible to simplify that fraction. In this case, the 3 over 6 simplifies to 1 over 2. And that is your final answer. Let's practice this a few more times. So on this graph, the first step is to find 2 nice points. I can see one nice point here where it crosses exactly at the corner of a box, and then another point here where the line crosses at the corner of the box. Now I'm going to start from the left side of the graph, and I'm going to walk to the other point by following the grid lines. In this case, instead of going up to get to the next point, I need to move down on the graph in order to get to the next point. So because I'm going in a downwards direction, I'm going to write the -4 because I went down. Then I'm going to slide to the right, and I'm going to count how many spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces to the right. So my slope fraction is going to be the rise number, which was -4, over the run number, which was 5. Then I'm going to type that fraction into my calculator. In this case, the calculator gives me the exact same answer that I already had, which means that it doesn't get to simplify. So this is my final answer. What I'm going to do next is circle one of these vocabulary words. Because the line is going in a downwards direction, we say that it is decreasing. We can also see it has a negative slope. I guess I should say downhill. Let's try it again. For problem number 2, I need to start by finding 2 nice points. Now the good news is they're already labeled for me, right there and right there. I'm going to now count on the graph how I would walk from one point to the next point, starting from the left side of the graph. So in order to get between the 2 points here, I would need to go upwards. And then this is where there's a little bit of a tricky thing going on. Do you see these labels over here, 3, 6, 9, 12? It means that on this graph, each one of these boxes is worth 3. So if I go up 2 boxes, that's going to be worth 6. Then I need to slide to the right 2 boxes. But again, if you look at this graph, these boxes are each worth 2. So if I slide to the right 2 boxes, that's really 4. Now I'm going to make my slope fraction. The rise goes on the top, which is going to be the 6, and the run goes on the bottom, which is going to be the 4. If I type that into my calculator, I get the simplified fraction 3/2. And that is my final answer. Now, by looking at this picture, I can see that this is a graph that's going uphill. So I would circle the word increasing here. I can also see that I got a positive slope, which is another way of knowing this is an increasing graph. Let's try this again. This graph looks a little bit different than the other ones. You'll notice that this line is going perfectly straight up and down. In other words, this is a vertical line. Now, vertical lines don't have a slope. So what we need to do is just write the word undefined here and not actually calculate any slopes. For problem number 4, I can see again, this graph looks a little bit different than the other ones. This is a horizontal line. That means it's a constant graph. It's never going uphill, it's never going downhill, that always stays the same. When you have a constant graph, the slope is just 0. You don't have to count any boxes, you don't have to calculate anything, it's just 0. The other thing we need to learn how to do today is to graph the slope. I might give you a slope and say, hey, please add some points to the graph using this pattern. There are a few steps to this process. First, you're going to label the rise and the run. Now, as a quick reminder, the rise is always the top number, and the run is always the bottom number. So, for example, if this is my slope, I might say that the rise is 1 and the run is 2. Now, that means that when I count this on the graph, my rise is positive, so I'm going to go up 1 space. And my run is positive, so I'm going to go right 2 spaces. When I do my counting, I need to make sure to always count the spaces that I'm jumping, not the actual lines on the graph. So here's what I mean by that. Starting from this point that I already have, I'm going to count so that I go up 1 space. That's my rise. Then I'm going to count so I go over 2 spaces. That's my run. And wherever I land, I'm going to put a point there. Then I'm just going to repeat this process. Up 1, right 2, and put a point there. Then I'm going to repeat it again. Up 1, right 2, and I'm going to put a point there. You'll notice all of my points are in a perfectly straight line, which is what they should be. We're drawing lines. Now I could reverse this slope. If I want to go backwards, then what I need to do is reverse both the rise and the run. The same thing goes for if you don't have enough room to go forwards. Sometimes the starting point is too close to the edge of the grid paper and we don't have enough room. We need to reverse both the rise and the run. So here's what I mean by that. To reverse this slope, I would go down 1, I would go down 1 space, and then I would go left 2 spaces. Now, if you do that, if we go down 1 space and we go left 2 spaces, you'll notice that the place where we land is another point in the same line as the other points. Once I fit as many points on the graph paper as I can, I'm just going to draw a line and I'm done. Let's practice that. If I say graph the slope and I tell you that the slope is -3, the first thing that I'm going to do is draw in a divide by 1 because a slope should be a fraction. The rise is on the top, and in this case it's negative, so I know I'm going to go in a downwards direction. And the run is on the bottom, so I'm going to go to the right. Starting from this starting point, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 spaces down, and then 1 space to the right, and put a new point there. Then I'm going to count again, 1, 2, 3 spaces down, 1 space to the right, put a new point there. If I want to reverse my slope, then I'm going to go up 3 spaces and left 1 space. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 spaces up, 1 space to the left, and put a new point there. Once I have as many points as I can fit on my graph, I'm going to draw a nice straight line, and I'm going to circle the vocabulary word. In this case, it's a downhill graph, so I'm going to look at the word decreasing. It's also a negative slope. If I say, please graph the slope, again, I'm going to label my rise and my run, which means I'm going to go up 2 spaces and right 3 spaces from my starting point. I'm going to go up 1, 2 spaces and 1, oh, JK. I made the mistake I should not have made. I need to pay attention to the scaling. Because I'm counting by 2s here, 2, 4, 6, 8, to go up 2 spaces, it's really only 1 box because every box is worth 2. Then I'm going to go to the right 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and put a new point there. And then I'm going to count up 2, which is 1 space, 1 box on this graph. 1, 2, 3 to the right. If I want to reverse myself, I'm going to go down 2, and then I'm going to go left 3. Now again, 1 box is really worth 2. So down 2, left 3, and that's where I would put my new point. Then I'm going to draw my nice straight line. And I'm going to circle my vocabulary. Since this is an uphill graph, I'm going to circle the word increasing. Last but not least, Let's look at some problems where our graph is too close to the edge of the grid paper to draw the slope. So for example, here my rise would be 1 and my run would be 3, which means I should go up 1 and right 3. But if I try to do that, I have enough room to go up 1, but I do not have enough room to go right 3. I run out of space. It means that in order to graph this, I am forced to reverse the slope. I'm going to go down 1 and I'm going to go left 3. So here that would mean going down 1, left 3, and putting a new point there. I even have room to do that again. Down 1, left 3, and put a new point there. Then I can draw my nice straight line through my points. Since this graph is going uphill, it is increasing. Last but not least, let's try that one more time. The rise here is the number 2, and the negative is always part of the top. It's never part of the bottom. The 3 is the run. So that means I'm going to go down 2 and then right 3. But if I try to do that on this graph paper, there is not enough room to go to the right. So I'm going to need to reverse my slope. In other words, I'm going to go up 2 and then left 3. If I go up 2 and then go left 3 boxes, I end up here. Then I can repeat that. Up 2, and then left 3, 1, 2, 3. I can go up 2 and then left 3. Now this is a downhill line. It's also a negative slope, so I'm going to circle the word decreasing. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please start your practice.